There comes this one day in life of a guitarist where you venture out of rhythm guitar and step into lead guitar playing, and naturally there's something waiting for you. It's called the E shape of the minor pentatonic. And for many players that's actually where some problems stop and many new problems start, because once you're in there it's actually pretty hard to come out of there. And too many people think that the next logical step is to just go dynamite fishing using diatonics, but there's a much more musical way that works with both. And that trick, plain and simple, is you can always play a chord tone from the chord underneath, no matter if it's in the scale or not. This simple advice was a complete game changer for my lead guitar playing, and I think it can be for yours as well. Let's take a listen, for instance, to this one. Honestly, if I would go into a rehearsal room and be like, guys, I wrote a super nice melody, wanna listen? You get the idea. But you all have listened to this one before, by the way. Let's see what happens when I shove the chords underneath. For instance, In Bloom Nirvana. So why suddenly does this melody even retain some of its grace after I stop playing the chords? Because now in context, these notes suddenly open up. I have a melody, E being the top note of A, F being the top note of the F chord, and F sharp being the top note of the D chord. First time I actually heard that harmony, or let's say realized it, because of course I also listened to In Bloom before. It was, I think, an art exhibition in London somewhere, and I always wondered, like, how does this melody hit me so much more than other melodies and even faster shred metal stuff that I love listening to? And the reason was because it's actually an anti-melody. It's a chromatic line, it's 3 frets right next to each other, but the combination of the harmony and the notes opens it up. And what I'm gonna give you today in this video are some of the key chord progressions that I find in the key of E minor that you can use to expand your pentatonic scale with new notes without overwhelming you with scale shapes and whatnot. And you can easily apply that as well. So let's dive right in and take a look at the first one. E minor, A major. Now if any one of you has ever listened to Breathe in the Air by Pink Floyd, or whatever that song was, sorry, I don't remember. E minor to A major is one of the most beautiful chord progressions out there. It's one of the most used ones. And if I want to spice up my E minor pentatonic, I just have to look which notes in there do not align with my pentatonic. And voila! Hold and behold, the halftone steps surfaced in the pentatonic scale. And what happens now? I can leverage this one to break out of my box, here on the 2nd fret, and go back into the box when the E minor comes back. And suddenly I work with the chord changes. And you don't even need theory for that. You can just play shifting the chord shape and the scale over each other in your imagination and see where they align and where they do not align. And basically what happens then is that we get a minor pentatonic with a nice bluesy major 6th in there, which basically is fragments of the Dorian scale. But instead of just thinking like, okay, going all over the neck, which is great, by the way, don't get me wrong, I highly recommend that you learn that stuff as well, but it's much easier to take baby steps into new chords, colors and modes and whatnot by discovering them through chord changes. So that's my first chord change. We go from E minor to A major. And you can already try this out at home by just looping in E minor chord, try to hit the C sharp whenever the second chord comes. We'll teach you how to play with the chords instead of over them, and be super fun and melodic. The second chord progression I wanna highlight here is basic 1-5 in minor. E minor, in this case B minor 7. Of course I could go with bar chords, but I thought you guys might appreciate me showing you actually that you can play a B minor 7 by going 2, 0, 2, 0, 2, or as I would recommend you think, B, D, A, B, F sharp. And again, repeat the same trick with the E minor pentatonic with a B minor 7 chord. If we take a close look, there's one note in there that does not align with the pentatonic. One note only, in this case this F sharp. So I can run up from the E minor, play my licks, but then when the second chord comes, end up on an F sharp, which I could play here, here, or here. And suddenly, my melody breathes and lives with the chord progression. And of course, you could also try, at the same token, a harmonic minor cadence being E minor to B7, which is a very nice heroic Latin sort of feeling. I don't know why I always think it's heroic, it's very empowering, for me at least. And with that one we get not one but even two notes we can put in there, the D sharp and the F sharp. Opening the plane of, again, playing E minor pentatonic licks over the E minor, but hitting a note from the B7 when we go the other way. And if I do that, you will be able to even feel a chord progression when I don't play chords. So that's trick number 2. Two chords that are used a lot of times, and again I would recommend that you loop these two, try to jam with them, and basically paint it with the pentatonic brush all the way through the E minor, and just try to hit, like you're playing dart, one of the chord tones, one of the outside notes, so to speak, of the pentatonic scale. And again, pry that box a bit open, look out, go back home, works great. And now things are gonna get really funny, because the first two chords I picked here, or chord progressions to be specific, are very easy to follow, very easy to listen to. But what happens if you bring in the really dissonant stuff, the stuff that's a lot of fun to listen to, and the stuff that can go horrendously wrong if you do it the wrong way? So let's start with the semitones around the resolution points. Resolution points being 1 and 5 mostly, these are the most stable ones, so we're gonna pick our flat 2 and our flat 5. Bada bum. Now if I take my basic first fret here and just throw it into the pentatonic without any context, doesn't sound like I know what I'm doing, right? Even worse if I throw it on top of a chord. That's the point where people usually put away the guitar and start playing video games again because it didn't work that day. But bear with me, I can make the F work by making an F chord appear in there. What's the difference now? If I play the F over an E, it's a semitone, it creates a lot of tension. If I play an F over an F, it's an octave and it's an absolute resolution point. Because what happens if I take my E minor pentatonic and add the two notes from the F chord, C and F to it, suddenly I get the E Phrygian scale. And I especially hold this progression dear in my heart because it's one of the most intense songs I've ever listened to in my life, which is The Rip by Portishead. always plays with a minor chord and a major chord above. It's a profoundly sad and dreamy song. So I didn't randomly pick these chord progressions here. 2 of them are very harmonic and beautiful and colorful. 2 are very dissonant. And if you practice all 4 of them I'm gonna give you today, you will have a very wide array of colors to choose from, while still only having to think of a single scale, being the pentatonic. That's the real magic of this. And for the 4th chord progression we're going to look at, we are going to utilize the tritone. And if I now compare this chord here again with my pentatonic scale, I will get 2 highly dissonant Johnnies in there, which is the flat 5, B flat, and the note F. And of course I can just start with long story short, you can expand your pentatonic boxes by playing the notes from the chords underneath, working with the chord progressions. And the beautiful thing is that this approach not only opens up your pentatonic box into a plethora of new colors, it sounds super logical because the new notes appear for a harmonic reason, so to speak, and most importantly, you transform the pentatonic into the modes gradually by following the chords. And I cannot stress enough how important it is to look at scales and modes in the context of the chords that live within there, and look at chord progressions with the scales that surround them. You know, this should be a holistic, unified unit of understanding you have installed in your musicianship. And if you want to learn this stuff, the chord scale connection, tension release and whatnot, you can learn all of this stuff in my guitar course, How to Unlock Any Scale. With that one I go specifically for what I've been doing now for the past 2 videos, to leverage the pentatonic and the basic chords, mix them up, shake it a couple of times, and voila, create a lot of new stuff that you can actually experiment with. You can grab it in my guitar community, link is down here below. And now with that being said, I'm going to fire up the jam track that I played in the beginning as well. And maybe now you can follow it a bit more easily by seeing how I play the pentatonic and when I hit the chord notes. And to make it even easier to follow, I'm going to make sure that I mostly play finger exercises in the E minor pentatonic part, which hurts me a bit, but it will hammer home the point beautifully, I hope. See you on the other side.